Clearing close in the forest you'll find a fabulous banquet, a fairy ball. If you close your eyes and you open your mind, the veil disappears and you'll see it all.
Hi my angels, it's Hailey Reese, and today's video is unlike anything I have ever done on my channel to date, and definitely unlike any of the other paranormal investigations that I've conducted. If you guys aren't new to my channel, you would know that I have an email that I created for you guys to send in your personal experiences and just anything and everything you want to share with me and communicate with me. And more often than you guys might realize, I get offers from you guys to head to certain locations that you guys have deemed incredibly haunted or that you would like to see me investigate. On October 24th, 2018, I received an email from Michaela who titled her email, offering you the opportunity to access a notoriously haunted location in Toronto that isn't open to public access. And upon reading her very long and incredibly detailed email, I knew that we had to go there. She has actually befriended a ghost in this space, and she is going to be taking us and showing us all of the places within this space that she and her coworkers have had experiences in. I am so excited about this. I'm so excited that I get to meet one of you in the process of this. This will be my first time meeting her. She is a Reese's Pieces, and it is just so cool that I get to bring one of you along on a haunted location, all thanks to one of you. With that being said, I'm about to pack up my purse, make sure that I have everything that I'll need for this investigation, and let's just dive right on into it. Okay, angels, so I am here with Mama and Sarah, who's trying to get her purse. And we are wearing our Hailey Reese hoodies today for this paranormal investigation. So make sure you go ahead, click the link in my description, get yourself your own Hailey Reese hoodie so you can be matching us. But we're really, really excited. We just got here and it's a gloomy, rainy day. When you think of a spooky day for ghost hunting, you kind of picture this. The only thing we're missing is like thunder and lightning, but I'm excited. Okay, angels, so we have made it to our location. We got Sarah here, we got Mom here, and we have Michaela here, who was so sweet and reached out. She's actually Reese's Pieces. She watches the videos, which is so cool, and we've spent the longest time just going back and forth on different experiences. She has had a ton of experiences, and a ton of experiences specifically in where we are now. So I'm gonna prop up the camera, introduce her to you guys again, and then she's just gonna tell you guys everything that she's experienced here and why it's believed to be haunted, and then we're gonna go and explore. Okay, angels, so once again, this is Michaela. She is the best. She reached out in an email, and you guys know I try to read almost every single email that's sent, and I read you guys the title of the email. So we are here, and she's gonna share with you guys her specific experiences, which by the way, I've heard a few and they're like so captivating. So why don't you just kind of tell them a little bit about where we are actually, because I haven't told them, and what we're doing.
Well, we are currently right now in McDonald Block, which is right next to Queen's Park. So we're gonna venture there in a little bit. But basically, we're going to be touring Queen's Park today. And it is basically probably like one of Canada in general, most notoriously haunted locations, to the point where basically everyone who works here believes that it is haunted. I know a lot of people will hear scary stories or ghost stories about the places they work, and they'll be like, yeah, okay, sure. But I've met so many people. When I started working here, I asked people, because I'm personally very sensitive, and I was kind of, you know, nervous starting here and wondering how true the stories that I'd heard were about Queen's Park. And I started asking people, like, do you believe it's haunted? And people will just kind of look at you dead in the face and they're like, yes, it's haunted here. Like, not a word of a lie. And so many of them will actually, you know, say, you know, before working here, I did not believe in the paranormal.
Right.
And now they're just like, I'm a believer.
I will say, not to interrupt her, but when we were driving here, Sarah has 2 kids and she had to get a babysitter for them, and her mom was watching them, or is watching them right now, and she was like, what are you guys doing there? And she's like, oh, we're gonna look at the paranormal side. And what did she say, Sarah? Oh, that's haunted.
Yeah.
And even she knew. So there's definitely, it's very widely known, especially here in Canada, how haunted this space is. So this is such an incredible opportunity to hear it like from somebody who truly is here.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
But basically, first of all, just to kind of give you an overview of the land that Queen's Park is on, which is a big reason why people believe it's haunted, is that it started out as King's College in the early 1800s. I'm not sure the date exactly. I'm like so bad with dates.
Me too.
So
Me too.
But I think it was like 1806 or something. Don't quote me on that. But basically, it was King's College, and King's College wasn't that successful because Toronto wasn't that big at the time.
Yeah.
So it closed down very quickly, and it kind of just sat there for a while. It was decided that they were going to turn it into an asylum for women. So once they opened this place, it was actually like such an awful place, as all asylums were at that time. You know,
there's a dark history.
Their methods were very torturous, and just dark and almost like evil, especially because it was a women's asylum. They did, like, a lot of the people who were admitted there were literally admitted there for like regular women things, like for instance, there were these like triggers that they believed caused women to go crazy, like menstruation, like childbirth, like
really. So they were admitted for things that women would just go through, like postpartum maybe, where somebody's
or like even just, you know, like PMS. Obviously the methods used were not the greatest. A lot of people, I assume, died because of the terrible conditions of the time. You know, that just didn't have the cleanliness or the regulations that they have today. Basically no regulations at all. So that was open for a few years, and then that moved to, I'm not sure the address now, but it's on Queen Street. And it's still there today, mental hospital. But then it was closed down for like a while, and they decided to turn it into the legislative building. So that was built, and it's kind of like a reason that they believe it's haunted is not only that it's on the ground of the asylum, but that they used bricks from the asylum to build part of Queen's Park. It's in the basement. I'll show you guys that when we go over to Queen's Park.
That's fascinating, and also so sad to think, because I talk about it a lot on my channel, but more often than not, the spirits that wind up trapped places are ones who died abruptly or traumatically. So like a condition of mistreatment and dying due to the conditions or the mistreatment in itself would be a big reason why souls would be trapped here. So that's really, really crazy to me.
Yeah. And so on top of the bricks, they also had a lot of marble that was brought in from the asylum. And then to build actual Queen's Park, they used sandstone brick, and that was those bricks were made by prisoners at the Central Prison, I think it was called. So, you know, I often wonder if that might also be a contributing factor, like how, because of the working conditions at the time, how many prisoners died while making these bricks, while in these brick making factories. So maybe, you know, those spirits are present. But anyway, so that, as soon as Queen's Park opened, basically, people started seeing these apparitions. A lot of people have claimed to see the cliche woman in white. And, you know, as soon as you hear that, you're kind of like, sure, whatever. But apparently she'll, like, be seen running down the stairs, or just glimpses of her running across the hallways through Queen's Park. And people say that they've seen her, like, looks like she's crying or very distressed, like very emotional. And they think that maybe she's one of the people from the asylum, or one of the women, more specifically, from the asylum. And then other people, you know, they've just heard, like, crying, weeping, very kind of distressed sounds, apparently in the basement.
So like a lot of sadness.
And then most notably, I think probably the spirit that most people talk about is actually the Sergeant of Arms, Charles Rutherford. And basically, before he was Sergeant of Arms, and if you don't know what a Sergeant of Arms is, or your viewers might not. It's basically the person who kind of keeps order in the house when the house sits. So people have said that they've seen him at his desk, like apparitions of him at his desk, that he's still working to this day. I love
that though.
He was Sergeant of Arms from, I think it was 1934 to 1937. And yeah.
No, to 2018. Still here.
Still here. Still kicking around. The other crazy thing too that I think really like solidifies the story, because sometimes you think the people who work here, maybe they're just kind of creating this story, but there have actually been people who are touring the building, going on our tours of the house, and they will actually see him, or even say that they talked to him, and that they encountered someone who was dressed up in what seemed like kind of
old-fashioned,
older attire. They thought maybe he was like an actor kind of playing the role for the tour, and they would say his name was Charles. And then a lot of times the tour, or when it's happened, the tour guide will be like, oh, Charles, like really? And then they'll be like, that sounds like it might have been Charles Rutherford, because no, we don't have an actor
named Charles
and dressed up in Sergeant of Arms attire of the time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's actually a picture of him in the building that
we'll have to show them. Yeah, for sure.
He's actually a really famous war hero in Canada. He wandered into a German camp by mistake, and he was surrounded by 45 German soldiers at gunpoint, and he managed somehow to convince him that the Canadians actually had them surrounded. So he had them all put down their guns, you know, and follow him. Not only escape, had them follow him to the Canadian camp to become their prisoners, when it was literally just him.
They could have just took him out.
Yeah, like they weren't surrounded, but he told them, you know, like,
if you
don't put down your guns, like we have you surrounded. We have like hundreds of people surrounding you.
That's such quick thinking,
right? A lot of people believe that spirits that are trapped in a certain place, it's because they can't move on, or you know, something is holding them back. But I honestly think in his case, like if he is the person that's haunting Queen's Park, or one of the spirits, I think it's because he wants to.
Me too.
Because it was like maybe the happiest time of his life. Working at Queen's Park, is apparently he loved his job.
That's a positive one.
It's a nice contrast from the, you know, insane asylum ghosts.
Yeah.
There's also one in the hallways underneath Queen's Park that connect the different buildings. They say that a woman hung herself, and they see her, you know, hang, a spirit kind of like as if it's hanging, kind of like.
Oh, that would scare me so bad, and I never get scared. Things like that, when it's like traumatic, it just, I think it's more of an empathy thing. I just feel like not sick in those situations. That's wild.
People always experience crazy stuff in the bathrooms. Like you'll be completely alone in the bathroom. This has happened to me.
Fantastic. I seriously have
So
Sarah, if you guys know Sarah, you know she always has to pee everywhere we go, and so she's there like, fantastic, and I have to pee right now. You'll have to let us know if you have an experience.
This building, you should be good. Like I've experienced this so many times.
Right.
In fact, yesterday even I had.
Really?
Yeah, because I was kind of like figuring out where I want to show you guys, and I went to the bathroom, and I will tell you what happened next, but in a moment. So people say that taps turn on while they're like in the stall while no one's in there. Just taps will turn on, toilets will flush. They'll literally be standing there and the tap will turn on. And they're not automatic taps. It's an old building. They're like turn taps. A lot of times I've been in the bathroom and literally thought someone else was in the stall next to me, and I'll like kind of do a peek, and I'm like, hey, there's no one in the stall. Especially if it's a more like a secluded bathroom.
Right.
So that is just kind of like creepy. Yesterday I went and I was just thinking like, oh yeah, this is definitely like the bathroom where I've experienced the most stuff. I sit down and literally like the door opens up, like literally the latch comes undone, and I'm like, okay.
You're like, yep, this is the spot. Thanks for the validation.
Yes.
Not to speak on your behalf, but she told me in her email that she feels as though a lot of these spirits, or one in particular, just are happy for the company and for somebody to acknowledge them, which is so true. And when you acknowledge them in a sense of respect, and acknowledge them in a sense of not coming at it with an angle of fear, but coming at it with an angle of understanding, they loved that. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're just so happy to have you back in the vicinity, because other people may not understand to the degree that you do.
Definitely. And I think that when you are sensitive to spirits,
Yeah.
they understand that, and they'll come to you almost, and especially if you aren't afraid.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes it's hard not to be afraid. I think probably the most notable experience to me was the time that everyone was literally away. They were on a tour for the election campaign, and I was like alone. Like in that whole wing, I was basically just me. And I was sitting in my office, working away, and I was listening to a speech that had been done, and we had like a script for it, but I had to transcribe like the new, what was actually said during the speech. And I'm listening, and of course, like the person's talking kind of fast, so trying to type this as quickly as possible. And it was the weirdest thing. Like, so there's a window behind my desk. Like, my back was to the window, and anytime the girl who would sit behind me would get up to do something, there would always be like a shadow that would cross, like from where the window was. That day, she was not there, like everyone else, and I heard like this noise behind me, and I kid you not, like not a word of lie, I see a shadow pass, like it would if she were there, and then I quickly turn around, and my other coworker, whose computer is facing me, turns on, which was so creepy because it was totally off, and then suddenly the audio recording that I'm listening to slows down, like super slowly. And I was like, this makes it so much easier to type this. It was like, hey, thanks. Like,
this is awesome.
That was solid. Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually did a spirit board, and I started communicating with, I think it was maybe like different spirits, because going back to the whole Charles thing, it's actually really funny. There's kind of early on when I did it, I didn't know about Charles Rutherford yet.
Right.
And I kid you not, on the spirit board, I got the initials like CR.
Really?
And I just kind of like passed it off, didn't really think about it much. And like, I guess after I had done that spirit board, I kind of wanted to look into more of what was going on at Queen's Park. So I started researching, and literally the first thing that comes up is Charles Rutherford. And I was like, wow, that's really, really interesting. You know, usually doing a spirit board, you kind of feel maybe like kind of sad or like a sense of nervousness, but with this, I just felt this overwhelming sense of calm.
Right.
And that's really the effect that Queen's Park has in general for me. It's a very calming effect.
So, okay guys, we are going to head and start exploring. I know, like, you guys are probably so eager, especially now that you've heard everything. So we're gonna head and explore and check it all out and see what we feel and experience. So these are the walls that have part of the asylum within them. You definitely feel a complete energy shift when you come into this area. It's like she said, like not heavy, but you just feel a sense of heavy. You guys, like, I feel so lightheaded and like buzzed in my head is the only way to explain it. Sarah, you feel the same way, don't you?
Yeah, I just had to take off my cap because I thought it was my cap making me dizzy.
It's crazy, you guys. Look at this space.
I see her mansion in LA.
This is where, you guys, look, it wouldn't focus. So this is the area where they see the woman in white. It's beautiful here.
So this is the area where a lot of people actually say that they see the woman in white, or, you know, just different spirits who see like baby gowns.
Right, this area here. Wow. This is the main staircase where a lot of people claim to see the spirits, which she was sharing with us earlier. Tell them what you just said.
Well, I said I feel it in this part. Like as soon as we walk from there to here,
Right.
I feel it here.
And what is it that you feel exactly?
I don't know, like my head's like tight in here, like in my side.
Yeah, mine too.
I'm not getting a head cold, so.
So actually we had a CTV reporter invited a medium to come explore the building, and when she was walking through, she said she felt several like spiritual energies, and one thing she said she like witnessed was in this end of the building like, a couple like kind of dancing together, which is really interesting to me. Like I definitely feel more of a energy shift towards this side of the building.
Yeah, and so does
so
does Sarah.
There's almost different energies. Like that in the building's more like lighter, and this is more like
Heavy.
heavy, but not in a negative way.
Mhm.
Almost like a comforting, like calming, sleepy way.
So we just started walking up these stairs here. I'll do like an over pan of them in a second. And the minute that I started coming up the stairs, I started to feel like my heart's racing, but it's not racing from anything, and like my head's buzzing more, but you just feel it. And as we're walking up, she goes, "This is where I feel when I'm walking up the stairs." And Sarah, I'm like, "Oh no, it's not just you, it feels."
Yeah, and that's honestly why I wanted to take you guys like up the stairs as opposed to the elevator, because walking up these stairs, like you just feel it. It almost like starts like within the bottom of your stomach and like builds.
That's exactly how I was feeling. It's like as I'm walking up, I can feel it getting like heavier and heavier, and the feeling is crazier. I'm gonna do an over pan so you guys can see it. One sec. Look at these underground tunnels, you guys.
This is where people like supposedly see the hanging woman.
Oh, this area here?
Yeah.
Wow.
In these tunnels.
You guys, this is the bathroom, which she was telling us about earlier, where so many things occur. Do you have anything you want to say about it?
Okay, so this bathroom like gets me so anxious. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's the only place I actually feel like a bit of anxiety because I'm like completely alone.
Right.
And there's been so many times like no one really ever uses this bathroom, especially when I was working on this floor because I was like going to only offices.
Right.
And this bathroom, like I would go in and suddenly it would sound like someone was in here, like the tap would be on, you know, I'd hear like the creaking.
Right.
And you know, I quickly would come out and there's no one. It latches, like literally latches.
Right.
And I'm sitting there and it's literally just like,
Really?
yeah.
So as you guys can see, that's very physical.
Yeah.
That's a movement. And also, if we walk over here, you can see that the sink that she's talking about requires being turned. Guys, so we went into the stall of the bathroom that you guys just saw, and I'm gonna turn on the spirit box and see if anything wants to communicate. But then I think also we'll probably head to the stairwell and see if anything wants to talk there too.
It almost sounds like classical music.
Yeah.
I hear it's almost like there's so many voices.
Like there's so many trying to come through at once. Do you have anything? Do you have anything of like? This is like the most activity I've ever seen. It literally sounds like thousands of voices.
Music.
Can one of you come through to
specifically to say something?
You're saying so much. When I sit this down and I send it to you, you're gonna be like, can you tell us your name? You prefer Charles. It sounded like
Yeah, I thought so too.
you prefer Charles, and you're like, it really sounded like. Hey, if Charles is here, can you say your name? Charles, if you're here, can you say your name? I think the problem, it's me. It did say that. Here's the thing with this, I've never had so many overlaying voices at once. Like, you hear one voice saying something, you hear another voice saying something.
And then you hear static for the long.
And then all of a sudden, all these voices, I feel like there's so many spirits in this place that it would be hard to, like, with a spirit box or even a spirit board, get a direct connection to one because another one's trying to talk. Charles, do you have anything you'd like to say? Is he here? And then I'm pretty sure that I heard someone say, I am. It's Charles, I swear. But like we have to play back to see